Hi, welcome, Simon here, and hope you're doing well. After diagnostics, I found out that the motherboard is bad. We'll be replacing the motherboard, and this is what I'm going to show you in the video. It might not be a fully complete build, step by step. I just wanted to finish up the repair for my customer. It looks like that when it was newly built, something was wrong with the motherboard, or maybe the motherboard came with defective. It doesn't turn on whatsoever, so I diagnosed it and found out the motherboard needs to be replaced. So removing the old motherboard, this is the broken one. Missing one of the screw here. Okay, once I remove the motherboard, that's the broken one. Actually, I'm replacing with the exact same motherboard. That was the request. So let's go ahead and put this on the side. So because it's the same motherboard, the I/O board here, the one in the back, where you put all the mouse and keyboard right there in the back, I'll be using the same. So I'm just gonna slide this thing in. Making sure that the back is matched. Or that metal thing is not being pushed in the wrong direction, because if it is, you might have hard time inserting the USB or whatnot. So make sure it match correctly. Nothing has to be forced in, it just should slide right into it. At this point here, what I do is I align that little gap, which is the motherboard here. That is your main center point. Align that. Have all the screws go back into it. And last screw here in the top left corner. Okay, once it's all in, I like to do is install the CPU, remove the bracket, and the CPU is right here. This is the LGA 1700 Intel i5 13th generation. Okay, so that is the Intel CPU 13th generation, or actually 12th generation, I apologize. i5 12400F. So F, I think that means you need a graphics card to power up the computer for the display. All right, this i5. Anyway, if you can see, there's a tiny little arrow here. So it's a dot corners, and here is the little arrow. And that arrow should match the motherboard. If you take a look here, the arrow is facing down this direction. There's a little arrow gap on that side, so go ahead and match that arrow. And then just drop it in. Close it down, right in the center, push that gap and lock it in. Next, I like to install is the RAM. Measure up the RAM, push it in. Okay, both of the RAM are installed. The next step is to go ahead and connect all the wiring. So this one here, it says front panel. That means is for the power light, the reset light, and hard drive lighting. This is the HD audio that goes all the way to the back here. That is for the headphone jack in the front, the audio. This is the USB 3.0, go back right in there. That is the 24-pin power supply connector. The best way to do is not to install this first and second of that. That's not the right way to do it. The correct way to do it, you want to align this 4-pin connector right into the slot. There's a gap right there, so you want to slide it in, make it as a full 24 pin connector like such, holding it on both sides and push it down. All right, so that is installed. Let's go ahead and install the CPU. This is for the 4-pin connector or 8-pin connector, so you can see that it labeled as CPU. CPU, what you want to do is you want to join them together by holding it together like such, and then push it down on this direction. Okay, once you have installed that process, we're going to move on to the next step by installing the M.2 drive. So this is the M.2 SSD, 1 terabyte. Slide it in, but before you do that, what we need to do is to pop open that little slot. That is to hold it down. So push that M.2 in at 45-degree angle, slide it to your right. That's how you install it, and this little plastic should push it and lock it in. That holds the M.2 drive. All right, that being said, the next step is to go ahead and apply a new thermal paste. What I like to do is I like to squeeze slightly a little bit, be generous with the thermal paste. Like about that much. Now you definitely want to use the scraper to scrape it, making sure that the layer of the thermal paste is evenly spread. So just go ahead and spread it. I like to use it in one direction so that it doesn't waste the paste on the other end of that spatula. Spread it right evenly. I know you still have some left here. If you can get that thing on to the corner of the CPU, that would be great, so you're not wasting them, and that should be enough. All right, so save this thing on the side, and the next is to install the bracket here underneath the motherboard, which is allowed me to mount the CPU fan, the heatsink. So go ahead and I'm going to align them like such, so if you can see that it comes out on the other side of it, while my left hand is still holding it down. I have this bracket. I believe this is the bracket that goes on top of it. Or do I need more of that? Please refer to your guide on your heatsink guide. So this one here, I believe, if I do it this way, and the CPU fan goes which direction? Let me see. The CPU fan goes this direction, so the exhaust, that's correct. So in this CPU fan, the two little metal would be pointing front and back. So this is the front and that is the back exhaust intake. What I like to do next is actually the thermal paste is everywhere now. Just got it on my gloves. So the mounting bracket has to go in. That's according to the installation process, I believe. Let's go ahead and put them together like that. Okay, so this one goes on top of it, and then there's a screw which just goes right into. So did I get this one in? It looks like it's in. What about this screw here? Yep, I found it. Okay, and last but not least, Okay, so realign, making sure things are in the right position. I'm gonna tighten it up. Okay, once it's all tightened up, I can remove my hand and let it sit just right in the center. The next step is to apply this fan right on top, the heatsink right on top that CPU. Go ahead and put the screw in. Okay, so tighten it all the way. So this one here is going to go pushing all the way in and finish up the rest by the second screw. Okay, so the CPU is in the right position, intact, all the way is good. And this is the CPU fan. The best way to look at it is if you see any label like this, that means it's the back of it, direction of the airflow going this way. And if you see the logo, that is the intake. The airflow is going to suck it in here and then exit on that side. Okay, so a lot of time when we install the fan, we might have installed this direction like such, meaning that it's not doing any good because the exhaust is blowing the heat air into your computer and circulating, not getting dispersed the heat. So you want to go this direction. The airflow is coming in from the front, right? You have an intake from the front of your computer. Let me go ahead and install that heatsink fan. Okay, so you have intake coming in from the front, continue having the cool air, exhaust, and this would blow it out to the back of it. And this cable right here, you want to go ahead and match the CPU fan. They should have a CPU fan pin where you can plug it in. I need to find that thing right now. All right, so it's right all the way in the top here. It's hard for you to see, but I'll go ahead and plug it in after. So that's pretty much it. Once it's plugged in, all I need to do is to install the graphics card. And here comes my graphics card. So let's go ahead and install the graphics card, put on the screw, and that should be all in this process. And of course the cable management, you want to come back and finish up the rest. Okay, so right now I'm just going to eyeball it, sitting down in a PCIe slot right in the center. And they're going to be 2 screws. I'm going to mount it in, holding down the graphics card nice and tight. You do not want the graphics card to be wobbly, moving it around. So make sure you have 2 of the screws. Get in there, 1, and the second screw. Okay, once you have that installed, do not forget your power. This power here needs to power up your graphics card. That is a 6-pin connector, and this is 8-pin connector. Again, I like to stress this out. Do not install this and then try to slide in the 2nd pin. Sometimes the thing stay like this, meaning that the 2-pin is above the 6th pin. You don't have enough power for the graphics card. I see that happen all the time. So what you want to do is you want to lock this thing in underneath. Lock it in first. Hold it as one piece, entire 8-pin connector, and then you want to slide it in and install. While installing it, push it all the way in, making sure it's flush, sitting flush here on the top. That is your 8-pin connector. All right, I will connect the CPU fan connector at the end of it, and the rest of the fan will be connected to the motherboard. And the next step is fresh install Windows 11, and that should be all. Thanks for watching. Bye now.